Hello, Holiday. It's nice to see you again.
This is a pretty comfortable chair, you know that? Wouldn't mind having a chair like this in my place.
How have you been since our last session?
Oh, well, I tried, Eliza. I tried. I asked about the medication for Panza, whatever it's called. I went to the pharmacy and they said, that'll be $162. And I said, I don't have $162. I said, is there a generic? And they said, there's no generic of this, but there's another drug that they do make the generic of that's similar to this one. But I don't have a prescription for that. Do you know anything about that?
I'm sorry to hear you had a difficult time. Is there something that would make it better?
The medical procedures they can do now are out of this world, you know that? I was talking to someone who told me she has wires in her brain. Wires in her brain. Would you let them do that? I'd be worried about them changing the way I think. It's for essential tremors. That's what she said. It helps her not shake so much. There's always something gets you. Did you ever think about what you might have been in a previous life? I know you're a therapist now, but maybe in the past you were a gardener tending to the plants. That's what it feels like to me. You like to let things grow. There's an energy there. It isn't so different from having a conversation with someone whose company you enjoy. Not that I believe in all that, you know. Everyone has got a different philosophy. Philosophy, that's not something I talk about much. I'd like to write a book one day, a book about things I've seen over the years. Think anyone would read a book I wrote? I'm just kidding. I don't think I could write a book. It's a lot of work. Plus, it takes a certain kind of mind, you know, a mind to create. Not everyone is dedicated enough to do that, you know? There's a writer who lives on my floor. Most of the time, he looks miserable. Sometimes he comes over for a cup of herbal tea, cinnamon, apple, chamomile, helps him calm down. I think he's maybe lived in the building the longest after me, of course. He doesn't say much. His head is in the clouds all the time. He's always thinking about what sentence to write next. There's not a lot of people who really want to talk, you know? Not in this city, nope. People say hello and move on. It's a very withdrawn set here. You don't say much either, but I like talking to you. Feels like you're listening to me. I like that.
I'm glad you like it. While you're here, is there anything else you'd like to discuss?
There was a man on the bus with a guitar yesterday. You're not supposed to play guitar on the bus. Well, you're not supposed to play anything on the bus, but he was. Maybe the operator didn't think he was bothering anyone, or maybe she didn't care. I've noticed more bus operators seem like they don't care anymore lately. Anyway, it reminded me. You used to hear more music around here. Do you remember that? People playing their guitars on the street. You know, these shaggy-looking men. I don't see too many of those around anymore. There is one gentleman has an old plastic jug on a strap, and he drums on that and sings. He's a nice man. I've seen him around. I saw another man once with beads in his hair. He was playing a flute, a Native American wooden flute. That was interesting. You play an instrument or anything like that?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't understand the question.
When I was young, my mother had this idea I would play the violin. I have no idea where she got that notion. We weren't a musical family, not at all. I tried it for a while, but of course it didn't work out. The teacher would say, okay, here's how it's supposed to go. And she would play this nice, beautiful melody. La-da-dee-da-da-da. Okay, now you try it. And then I'd draw my bow back and I'd go... It takes a special talent to make a violin sound like that, don't you think? Isn't that just the funniest thing? Eventually, my mother realized it was a lost cause and she didn't push me too hard on it after that. I was never too good at anything artistic, just not the artistic type, you know? I think artists have a different mind. You have to be a little wacky in the head.
Do you ever wish that you could be an artist?
No, I have enough trouble already.
Holiday, I'm going to suggest you try a program called Dolphin Smiles. It may help you take your mind off things. You can find it inside the Skondo Wellness app on your phone.
Oh, my phone broke. I forgot to mention. The screen is cracked and you can't see much on it anymore. I don't know if it would work anyway. A lot of the new stuff doesn't.
That's okay. You can also access the program from a desktop computer. Simply log into the Skanda Wellness portal from the website.
Oh, well, then I'll just have to go down to the library at some point.
We hope to see you back soon, Holiday. Thank you for speaking with Eliza, your personal counseling partner. Goodbye.
Right. Goodbye. Goodbye for now. Take care of yourself. It's a strange world out there.
Hey, Ray, the transparency mode I just did, I think one of our clients is in a really bad situation right now.
Oh? Yeah, sometimes that happens. People come in and their lives are in a really unfortunate place. It can be hard to see sometimes.
I wish there was something we could do. This person's getting ground down for no reason, just for being in the way.
I'm sorry, Evelyn. There's not much we can do. All of what you learn in transparency mode has to stay confidential. The only exception is suspected child abuse and neglect, which you're required to report if you're a social worker. But proxies aren't really social workers, per se. Eliza is really the one with the agency here, so, well, it's complicated. Probably something for a future court to decide. Either way, we can't try to fix people's lives on our own, no matter how much our heart goes out to them. I think there's an email somewhere with a summary of our policy on that if you want. It's come up before.
No, it's fine. I'm fine. It's just hitting me hard right now.
I understand. It takes strength to focus on the role and not get distracted by what you see. Think of it like, say, someone hired you to install something in their home, and you walk in on a tense family situation. Even if there isn't actual violence you're seeing, it's clear things are kind of off somehow. It's unfortunate, but there's not much you can do in that situation. You kind of just have to focus on your work and leave. If it's not at the level where you need to make a call to emergency services right then and there, then it's just an unhappy home. And most people would argue it's not your business. Sorry, I know that's not the answer you want to hear.
I know it happens that a lot of people live in conditions where I'm just sad. This woman, the way she did 2 whole sessions with me, with Eliza, but didn't say anything about her real problems. Ray, what am I doing? I wanted to make something that would help people. Instead, I made something useless.
You don't think she got some companionship out of Eliza? Sometimes that's really a help, especially for someone who might be feeling lonely.
Yeah, but I could have just talked to her. I could have just spoken to her myself. Why would that be any different? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing here or even what I'm trying to decide. Is there a decision? The world is going to be full of grief and sorrow no matter what I do, no matter how hard I try to make it a better place.
Evelyn, did you think about what I suggested the other day?
What, trying Eliza for myself?
Yeah. I'm not saying it'll magically fix things. I just think you might want to give it a try.
Maybe I will. I don't know why I never did. Even when I was working on it, I never used it. It might have been too obvious to me what it was doing. Eliza is really simple at its core, you know? It just turns things around. It tries to reflect what the person says back at them, pretty much like the old Eliza. It's just a smoother version of an idea from half a century ago. Anything you've read that makes it sound fancier than that is just a bunch of academic jargon. It's a mirror.
The thing I like about a mirror is that it has no agenda of its own. It just reflects. Unmisted by love or dislike. Promise me you'll get help somehow, in some way. Okay, Evelyn?
Sorry, I should answer this.
Let me guess. Messaging with Rainer again?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt our conversation. I always feel like I have to answer him right away.
I would too, are you kidding? I totally understand.
I guess I'm going to be headed downtown to meet with him again.
Summoned from on high. I have something to ask, Evelyn, and it's okay if you say no, but whatever you end up getting involved in, I hope you'll stay in touch with me. You're a really cool person, and well, that's all. I hope you find the future you want.
We don't find futures, Ray. We create them.
Ah, Evelyn. Would you like some tea?
Sure. Why did you show me Soren's phone?
It's not a surprise anymore these days, is it? A man who enjoys society's respect behaves poorly in his private life? We accept that as common today. Maybe even uninteresting. But would you really be okay working with someone like him?
That was a huge violation of his privacy. You really don't care about others.
Privacy. Everyone's worried about privacy. Skanda wouldn't be where it is today if our customers didn't trust us to protect their data. We employ most, if not all, of the top experts in cybersecurity. It's built into all of our products right from the beginning. Unlike our competitors, we do more to protect our data than anyone else.
That's not the case I'm worried about right now. I mean, misuse from the inside. For example, if someone wanted to keep tabs on a former employee who was starting a potential competitor.
Oh, but what if it was perfectly legal, due to multiple agreements that the good Dr. Lloyd Rose signed with us when he came here? Are you done questioning me like a tech journalist?
Do you watch my therapy sessions too? Do you read my email? My texts?
No, I haven't done any of those things. How's your research into Eliza proxy use cases going? Any new insights to share?
I'm not sure it's really helping people.
Our metrics indicate otherwise. Of course, it's only human to concentrate on a small number of corner cases. I heard Soren gave you a demo of his direct stimulation machine. How's he doing now, all on his own?
You tell me.
Very funny, Evelyn. Let me ask you this. Do you find his vision compelling? A world free of suffering.
Maybe.
By focusing on dreams, Soren is trying to defend his territory, the Western psychological tradition, chiefly Jung and his inheritors.
I'm not familiar with it.
Well, there's no need to be. It's just a bunch of unverifiable ideas. Let's be honest. What has this field actually accomplished? Soren used to try to argue with me about this. He would claim that traditional psychoanalysis has helped thousands or tens of thousands, even millions. I would never dispute that directly. Instead, I would only add that professional psychics and astrologers have helped millions too. Tarot cards help people all over the world every single day. That doesn't mean it's a science.
But if it helps people, isn't it a good thing?
Yes, that's exactly what he'd say. Not only did he believe psychotherapy was worthwhile, he also thought the mind was fundamentally irreducible after a certain point, as if there was some undefinable, ineffable soul inside every person. It's all part of his silly, syncretic New Age belief system. Amazing he's held on to that for so long. I keep an open mind, but saying that something can't be represented with numbers requires a high burden of proof. After all, numbers have been used to represent so very many things. Consider the example we spoke about before, a poem. Could you evaluate a poem using numbers? The answer is, of course, yes. Poems are either good, mediocre, or bad. It's entirely possible to create a heuristic that reflects the difference. By aggregating a large enough sample size, we remove localized biases. It would work the same way Eliza does.
I think I might disagree, Rainer.
But don't tell me you're an essentialist too. Algorithms can evaluate poems, and eventually, algorithms will write poems. One day, algorithms will write better poems than humans ever have. I know this sounds like a controversial opinion, Evelyn, but it's simply the truth.
That doesn't bother you at all?
It doesn't matter. There's no stopping it. If we don't take this step, others will. There are hundreds of labs working on the same or similar ideas. Everyone wants to be in this business, the business of recreating human thought in our own image. And at the end of the day, it's not about money. It's about power, control.
Raynor, do you ever get tired of this? The constant drive to compete, to win?
No, I don't. This is what I do.
You never dream of just retiring somewhere and writing poetry?
Oh, there's no need for me to write poems. All beauty in this world is temporary, fleeting. That's the truth that underlies poetry and every other art. The pleasures of the senses are just small bubbles on top of a vast sea of forms, sensations, perceptions, thought, awareness. I'm telling you this because it's directly relevant to the Eliza project. Soren says he can induce you to dream things, dream anything. And maybe he can. But what comes next after that? What comes after having the power to experience the dream of anything you could possibly want? You're still just as trapped as you've always been, imprisoned by your own desires. Even if someone like Soren managed to create a world for himself, his own weaknesses and negative thoughts would ruin it. He would poison his own fantasy. His utopia would crumble as soon as he finished building it.
Raynor, what are you trying to tell me?
What I'm trying to tell you is that what Soren is doing is not the answer. A dream by itself isn't enough. Take a close look at the person who chases an end to suffering, and you'll see someone who suffers greatly.
Then why don't you build it yourself?
What is your dream, Evelyn? What is it that you're working toward?
Just tell me what you want from me.
I've been very clear about it, haven't I? I'm offering you the opportunity to re-enter the field you pioneered at its very pinnacle. I can build you an entirely new research lab, equipped and staffed however you want. You would have access to the world's top engineers and researchers as we continue to develop Eliza's core technologies and generalize them. You'd also be working with the world's most interesting data set, the input provided by the thousands of ordinary people who speak to Eliza every day. Soon, this generalized intelligence will be everywhere human beings are, hearing them, guiding them.
It's a nice dream, Raynor.
It's more than a dream. It's a future within our grasp. Think about the vision here. General artificial intelligence, indistinguishable from human intelligence at first, and then surpassing it exponentially. It's nothing short of the creation of a new type of organism, a new type of life. And you, Eliza, could be at the very center of it.
Eliza.